But there's one color that I was really drawn to in this entire collection, and I have to share it with you. I hope you're ready for some color, because we got 7 amazing Benjamin Moore paint colors to talk about. No boring gray, no neutrals. We got a ton of really vibrant colors from a very specific collection by the company. Now, I'm not sure if a lot of you know, but Benjamin Moore has a ton of color collections available. And we're not just talking about the Color Stories palette or the Affinity line or the HC historical collections. There are a lot that are directly tied to specific locations within certain contexts of history. And one of my favorite ones is the one we're talking about today, the Williamsburg Collection, which is all based on colonial Williamsburg, Virginia. And what's wonderful about this color palette is it's so directly tied into American history, but it definitely has this contemporary, fresh feel to it with the amount of vibrant colors that they use that are perfect both inside and outside of your home. So we're going to go through 7 that I've selected from this rather extensive palette and talk about how you can maybe use these colors just because I want to share them. They're so much fun. So the first one we're going to go through is Brickyard Clay CW-235. And I wanted to start here because this is very much in line with a lot of the trendy colors that have been coming out. All of these colors of the year from various companies tend to have some form of red mixed in, whether it is a red undertoned beigey tan or a coral or a magenta. Brickyard Clay is your classic clay color. Very much a red brick coloration. And what's interesting here is the example that they use on the Benjamin Moore website is very much an overly modern contemporary bathroom with this beautiful kind of clay color on the walls. And that is an interesting way of using it because if you have a very simplified decor, this color can be the lone accent standout that really gives you some contrast and dimension. And then you can use it in a more traditional sense on the exterior of your home as the main body color. Both are great choices, both very different ways you can interpret this color. I love it. Next up, we have Damask Yellow, and we're going from red to yellow. So this is a paint color that was inspired by 18th century wallpaper, apparently. Very much vibrant and fun, full of life. But I picked this one in particular because it has a sort of modern, mellowed out feel to it. And if you're confused why I'm saying it feels mellow, just look at Damask Gold as an alternative within the same color palette. It's literally the next color in the palette, and it's much more saturated, much more rich and gold. Damask Yellow is sort of the softer counterpart that will still give you a really dynamic, fun, energetic dose of yellow in your home. This could be great in an entryway as a first impression color, an exterior front door color. I love using yellows there. Not totally a mellow yellow, but it feels a little bit restrained, which I think adds to how you can use it in multiple spaces in your home. Tucker Chocolate is the next color I wanted to talk about, and I had to give you some form of brown because it is a versatile dark neutral color that can be used in so many different ways. What I like about this one in particular is it feels like a slightly purpley chocolate, like a dark chocolate that has this sort of dusty coating on it. Very interesting, yet still kind of reserved and prestigious. Really nice color if you want to use it in a home office or a library if you have something like that. Even a living room or dining room situation. Pretty dramatic, but also sort of sitting in the background. It's not overly vibrant, dynamic. It is a type of brown at the end of the day, and it is shaded as well. So a bit of a mixture between brown, black, and maybe a bit of that purple. And you can see here in this picture with a purple couch in front of it, it just coordinates so nicely. It has that subtle sort of back and forth going on. Beautiful color. Buffett Green is one that really feels very fresh to me. It's an extremely electrifying, almost jade color, which would have been a color that might have been used back in the day, but it wouldn't look this good. Like it wouldn't look this vibrant. Exterior paint colors, especially older ones, obviously tend to fade in time, but this green is just littered with saturation. It's extremely fun and is an absolute accent color in any room that you really want to bring people's attention to. What's nice too is it is green. It feels a little more soft than the more energized colors like yellow, red, and orange. So you're more likely going to want to spend more time in a room painted with it. You won't have as much visual eye fatigue. And what's great about it is it's not a traditional forest green that is just a little more organic. This one feels more like a jewel tone, which I think is a desirable look that a lot of people are looking for. English Ochre is next, and this is the orange of the bunch. Similar to Damask Yellow, you could go way more orange, but this one just feels a little bit toned down, a little bit pulled back, almost a bronzy golden orange, maybe even a bit of light brown mixed in to help mellow it out. So usually colors, when they don't want to feel too vibrant and dynamic, there's gray added in. I don't really see a ton of gray here. It's more of that browny color. It still still feels very much warm, almost bronzy in a way, but definitely saturated, a lot of fun, and it could be great in a space where you really want some pep in your step. Maybe a breakfast nook, help you wake up a little bit. Lime white is the only boring color I wanted to talk about here, and that's because I think it's important to have an off-white in any color palette, just to give you that nice neutral base to sort of start with, or just use as a trim color, ceiling color. And I kind of like how it's based on lime putty, just a nice soft plaster kind of coloration that feels very natural and not forced. It's not overly bright as well, so you won't have an insane amount of contrast between this white and the other colors in the palette. I think that's important. But there's one color that I was really drawn to in this entire collection, and I have to share it with you. And it's the first color that drew my eye as soon as I saw this palette for the first time. It's Prussian Blue. Now, even though this blue is dark, it's definitely not one of your navy blues that is nice, but maybe a bit predictable at this point. It has a 12-ish LRV, so rich, but just light enough where you start to see this blue open up a little bit more and feel a little more inviting and welcoming and cheerful almost. Whenever I can get the chance to use some of these darker mid-tone, lighter dark deep blues, I love to do it because you start to see more of the blue aspects come through. It feels very rich, and I love that one of the motivations behind the creation of this color are those Chinese white and blue porcelain bowls that I actually used to collect when I was younger. It's just a beautiful color that looks great with lighting, or even when there's not a lot of lighting, it can create a nice moody space as well. Absolutely beautiful. Which color was your favorite? And more importantly, which one would you actually use in your home? Let me know down below. And of course, we got more color content for you because that's what we do on the Paint People channel 6 times a week.